Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in to hear my trading and market updates. This is Uncle Frank, and I'm not a financial advisor, nor is any of the content to be construed as financial advice. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. Please remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed the presentation, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you're alerted when I have new information to share. So now let's get into the latest updates. Hey, welcome back everyone. Let's start out this video with some theories, and then we'll get to the facts. Number one, I believe the short position against AMC remains at nightmare proportions, and covering them could still be a catastrophic event for prime banks, brokers, hedge funds, and even clearing firms. Number two, I believe the predatory short hedge funds and primes will remain short until they are forced to cover. While the reverse split and threat of mass dilution has certainly helped our Wall Street enemies, I still believe they have billions more shares to cover. Just my opinion, but it's clear that if 3.8 million shareholders own on average only 300 shares, that exceeds a billion right there without institutional holdings pre-split. But Adam Aron consistently has said there's no evidence of synthetic shares, so protecting Wall Street is his policy and priority. Number three, I believe a sudden black or preferably white swan event represents the greatest threat to the short trade, and at the time of this recording is the only thing that can cause a substantial short covering event in AMC, in my opinion. Number four, it is now abundantly clear that Adam Aron, his management team, our board of directors, which is led by Philip Lader of Morgan Stanley, and our investment banker Citi, will do nothing deliberately to hurt the interests of Wall Street in any way, and in my opinion, have proved this theory true on more than a dozen occasions. To be clear, I've never said Adam Aron didn't want the company to perform well. I've only offered countless examples of him helping Wall Street as opposed to the shareholders. If you still think Adam, Phil, and Derek Van Zant of Citi aren't trying to help Wall Street out of this mess, then you need to have your brain examined because you're a sap. Number five, at the time of this recording, I believe the most distinct risks going forward for AMC and its shareholders are the writers and actors strike going on too long, affecting the number of releases available for theaters. New strains of COVID named BA.2.86, dubbed Parola, and EG.5 named Eris. Other eminent risks include exactly when Adam Aron plans to dilute AMC, and more importantly, how much Adam Aron intends to dilute AMC. If we see a spike in the stock, and Adam or the company suddenly make a negative-themed announcement, a negative tweet, or simply sell huge blocks of stock in the open market or by private placement, that will confirm that he is still cooperating with Wall Street to avoid a catastrophic event for primes, hedge funds, and even clearing firms. I say this because with over $640 million in available liquidity, Adam doesn't have to dilute all at once, but should be prudent and sell stock when conditions are more favorable, meaning our stock price is higher. The final threat I see developing is future civil actions for breach of fiduciary duty and even possible criminal charges for conspiracy to commit securities fraud. Number six, I believe that our enemies will continue to use any and all tactics necessary to keep AMC stock under control, especially halts, misuse of dark pools, spoofing and layering, coordinated attacks, hit pieces in the press, etc. Number seven, I believe regulators like the SEC and FINRA will continue to permit these activities in the open and actually coordinate strategies with the DTCC and investment giants BlackRock and Vanguard until AMC no longer represents a systematic threat to the markets, especially as elections draw closer. Let's start this slide off with a headline from Yahoo Finance. Short sellers made $300 billion in 2022's market wipeout. Big name companies like Meta, Tesla, and Amazon were among the most profitable short trades last year. Guys, we are trading against some of the most prolific short sellers in the world, and this headline may explain why I constantly also look for white swan events that could potentially prompt a short covering event for AMC as opposed to just doom and gloom black swan events. Our enemies can profit greatly from sudden downturns and market collapses, so be careful for what you wish for out there. Now let's move to a headline from Business Today. Short sellers make $500 million on Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. And now fast forward to this past week. Short sellers just made $522 million betting against AMC stock. So I would like to point out that short sellers made more money on shorting AMC following the reverse split than the short bet against the complete collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. I would only add, for morons like Phil for Real, this windfall profit for hedge funds was made possible by Adam, Philip later, but most importantly, Citi, one of our own short sellers who designed APE and the reverse split. How you liking your new break-even number now, Phil? You still think these assholes are on our side? Let's jump back to Adam's tweet from mid-March about selling us this whole reverse split idea. In your comments, some fear that after a reverse split, short pressure could cause the price to go back down. No shit, Adam, but you neglect that it is every bit as easy to short a stock priced at 3 as it is on a stock priced at 30. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but the stock price has dropped from over 54 to points under 11. Cost to borrow dove from 1,000% to even under 10% at one time. And now millions of shares show up every morning. No, Adam, I think it's actually easier now to short the stock at its current price at 13 than it is at 30, right? But notice Adam never gave us any good reasons to split the stock. That's because there wasn't one. Only that we were stupid to believe it's easier to short it at 30 than it was at 3. Adam has been completely silent about the split, tweeting only about recent Taylor Swift developments, even though the company lost approximately 70% of its entire market cap, following this scheme. So I have only one thing to say to all the remaining yes voters and the YouTube guys that push this narrative for Adam. You're either dumb, gullible, or you were paid to promote it. The session before Adam's tweet, AMC traded at just over 50.5 post-split price. The reverse split benefited no one except short sellers, as I've said repeatedly, and the people that were in court trying to stop it, okay? They were desperately trying to stop exactly what's happening right now, and you're still out there insulting them. The dumbest, most naive YouTuber of all actually believed the shorts were afraid of the reverse split, even though Citi, a known short seller of AMC, a company with a sell recommendation on the stock, that cut their price target to $1.55, that actually gave us the disaster we now know as APE, our delisted preferred share, that planned it in our own boardroom with the help of Morgan Stanley and Antara, another frequent short seller of our stock and manipulator of APE. Hashtag today we pounce. Hashtag checkmate. Hashtag choke on that. Everybody forget this already? In retrospect, was the reverse split in the best interest of shareholders or Wall Street? Did the CUSIP change prompt a short covering event as we were told by a certain YouTuber? Maybe we should reverse split the stock again now that they're pounding it into the dirt as I predicted. Maybe a second CUSIP change will really catch them off guard. No. The reason none of this happened the way Bigham's boss and Phil promised it would is very simple. Our enemies can cheat. The SEC lets them, and the DTCC and the LULD committee helps them do it. Do you got it now? So take a good look at that screen, Apes. That's Wall Street. And there's not one company or one person on our side in this entire fiasco. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner with Bank of America. I think they've got 3.4 million puts on AMC. They own Merrill. Goldman Sachs, they spoof us literally every day. I think they own 1.8 million puts on AMC. JP Morgan Chase owns 100% of Highbridge. They're short AMC. They used to manage money for Jeff Epstein. And then there's Citi, our own investment banker, right? The author of our now delisted preferred shares, APE, you know, the Pounce. They're short AMC. Then there's Morgan Stanley, okay? They own E-Trade. They actually run our board of directors. And this guy's got a daughter in senior management at Uniswap where, you know, we found tokenized AMC to be trading. Now, were those used for locates or like securities? I don't think we'll ever know, right? Now, let's move to Antara. I think they've got 25 million puts on AMC last I saw and made an obscene amount of money on APE in return for rigging the shareholder vote. At least that's what many apes believe. They're backed by Blackstone. I don't even have time to go into how dirty that company is. Then there's the silverback, Adam Aron, who put out a negative tweet every time the stock lifted up her head. Forced a reverse split on the stock when we never needed one, but the short sellers obviously did. And now thanks to that split and the fear of mass dilution, we've lost about 70% of our market cap. This is during some of the best news our company has seen in years, including our best month in admissions revenue and our entire history, and even a return to profitability in the second quarter. And then there's the brokers. Fidelity, Schwab, TD, Interactive, Robinhood, Webull. Are any of these clowns on our side? They should be. We're their retail customers. But I can show you countless headlines of them screwing us again and again because they no longer get their money from us, but from payment for order flow. An obvious conflict, but that's another argument for another day. Then there's the big hedgies like SIG and Citadel. These people have every advantage in the world, but they still have to cheat to win. Citadel gets to be a hedge fund, a market maker, and operate an ATS. But don't worry, they can be trusted, right? They've only been caught violating securities rules and laws 59 times over the past 15 years, but because they make huge political contributions to every politician in Washington, the regulators have lost the will to even investigate them. Even when they do get busted, they pay a small fine, admit to no responsibility, and resume stealing. So I don't know about you, but I'm done. I'm out of the micro and small cap markets after AMC because these people can break the rules and laws with impunity. I mean, we are now at the point where if one of these clowns begins to lose on a short position, they will just naked short more, and the SEC or FINRA won't do shit about it. Some companies try to fight back, like Highcroft and Mullen and WBO, but those cases don't seem to be making much traction in the courts. But our company has willing participants like Phil, Derek, Himanshu, and Adam. They're actually helping out Wall Street. Okay, there is no upside for Adam to become, an activist shareholder, advocate for us. There just isn't. Okay, guys, and it's obvious. But if you'd like to explain to me how there's an upside to Adam taking on the entire financial world for our benefit, please, I'm ready to listen. So now that I'm a bag holder, what is my plan going forward? Well, I will never tell you to buy, sell, or hold any security or cryptocurrency. I'm not an investment advisor, and this is not investment advice. I'm merely sharing my activity with you for entertainment purposes only. But my plan of attack going forward is simple. Number one, I will continue to support the company and the stock in every way I can. I just went to see Equalizer 3 on Saturday, and here's some interesting headlines for you. Equalizer 3 box office picks 42 million opening, pushes summer domestic revenue past 4 billion in post-pandemic first. Also from Variety box office, Denzel Washington's Equalizer 3 opens to 34 million, aims for strong 43 million through Labor Day. I think it's important to note the Denzel Washington threequel is scoring the second best Labor Day weekend opening of all time after coming in notably ahead of expectations. So yeah, the theaters are dead, obviously. You see, I can still support my company and its stock while also fighting against Adam Aron, his management team, and his board. These people haven't bought a single share of our stock in over 5 years, but sold over $1 billion to us, so F them. I will also support every legal action against Adam, civil or criminal, if they present themselves. It's my hope that Adam spends the rest of his natural life in a courtroom or prison for what he's done to my fellow shareholders. But getting back to my plan, number 2, I plan to continue buying dips to lower my average cost. Number 3, when the stock advances, I will strategically write calls against my holdings and use any premium capture to also improve my average cost on the stock. If the stock drops before expiration, I can buy the calls back or let them expire worthless. The risk here is if there's a swan or short covering event and the stock advances over my strike, I'll miss out on those gains for the shares I have to deliver. Number 4, when the stock is trending lower, I will strategically look for opportunities to write puts. This way, if the stock declines further, I'll be forced to buy the stock at lower prices than it's trading now, and I still get to keep the premium, which I can use to buy more stock at lower prices. Number 5, I'm going to continue to research white and black swans, because at this time I believe that's the only way the shorts will ever cover their position against AMC if they're forced. So one thing we need to watch is this black swan. Here's an article in the Motley Fool. U.S. money supply is contracting for the first time since the Great Depression. Historically, this is an ominous sign for stocks. Now, there isn't an economic data point or predictive indicator that can, without fail, forecast short-term movements in the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ, but there are a number of these tools that have uncanny correlations with directional stock market movements. One of the most pronounced is the U.S. money supply, and that's where this tweet from Nick Jurley comes in. Warning, the money supply is officially contracting. This has only happened 4 previous times in the last 150 years. Each time, a depression with double-digit unemployment rates followed. Okay, so when you've got the money supply screaming a signal like that, you need to pay attention. That's a potential black swan. So, Uncle Frank, if you would rather see a white swan as opposed to a black swan to hurt the predatory short hedge funds and help AMC shareholders, what does that look like? Well, I'm sure many of you think it looks like the article on the left. Swift movie smashes AMC ticket records, Equalizer 3 opens. And yeah, guys, I'm always rooting for good news for the theater, for good news for the movie business. But here's the thing. I don't think it's enough to force the hedgies to cover. I am hoping that our third quarter is even better than our second quarter, and that we have an explosive fourth quarter, and that's all going to be a surprise, and it helps the stock. I'm rooting for all that. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is more like the article on the right. Hedge fund exposure to Magnificent 7 tech stocks hits record high. Hedge funds have upped their exposure to the 7 biggest technology company stocks to the highest level ever seen, just as NVIDIA hit an all-time individual high after exceeding revenue expectations, according to a report by Reuters. Now, they don't tell you, are they short, are they long, but their exposure is at a record high. And if something goes in the other direction, that's the kind of event I'm looking for to hurt the hedge funds and force them to address their problem with AMC. And you know who's going to push them to that? The prime banks and brokers that enabled them to get this short against AMC. Those are the people we're hoping to alienate from the hedge funds. In closing, for those of you that say, hey, Uncle Frank, it's not Adam Aron's fault, it's the hedgies, it's the regulators. Well, I agree to some point, but your boy has been working with them from the beginning, and I don't care if you don't see it. The hedgies do what they do. They target weak companies and try to take them down. As far as I'm concerned, Adam is worse because he has a duty to act in our best interest, and he does exactly the opposite on multiple occasions. Now, take a look at the screen. List of threshold securities, what? We've dealt with this for years. Now what is it, over 50 days? He's not going to do jack shit about it. He doesn't care. Okay? And now let's take a look at this man's compensation package over the past 6 years. If you're one of my followers, you already know. This guy and his entire team, the entire board, they haven't bought a single share in over 5 years. All they do is sell it. But I want to show you something important about the year 2020 and Adam Aron. In 2018, his total comp package was 9.4. That's made up of base pay, a cash bonus, and stock, and then something called total other, right? Miscellaneous stuff. Then in 2019, it only went up a little bit, 9.671. But in 2020, I want to show you something, okay? I want you to know this is the year of the pandemic. People had masks on. People were dying. Theaters were closed, right? Hollywood was giving us less than half of the number of movies we were used to getting to display in our theaters. It's like sending a boxer in with no arms. I want to show you that Adam's cash non-stock bonus went from 1.925 in 2019 to 5 million. Okay? The stock award in 2019 for Adam was just under 6.5 million. In 2020, the year we're talking about, 14.8 million. He cleared over 20. All right? By 2022, his total package exceeds $23 million. Now, I don't even know what his stock bonus is going to be for 2023. I'm using a conservative number of 10 million because in 2022, it's 16.2. But, over the past 5-6 years, guys, this guy's cleared $100 million from a company that was buried in debt, that was closed. This is how you act when you're trying to extract every last penny out of the company before it goes bankrupt. Okay? We saved AMC, not Adam Aron. In fact, Adam Aron is trying to take out every nickel he can before the company goes bust. And we spoiled the plan. But he still, even during a pandemic, you would think, hey, you know what? I'm going to help these guys out trying to save the company. I'm going to cut the stock awards. I'm going to cut the bonuses. I mean, I don't know about you, but in 2021, for example, Adam's base salary is $1,451,000, but his bonus is $6 million. Okay, it's triple. Do any of you get a bonus that's triple your base pay? And then in stock, another $11.4 million. And you know what? That wouldn't be so bad if the guy didn't sell every share that we gave to him. I think he's got, 2.5 left? Do you even know this board of directors, Adam, his entire team, all of them together own less than 0.5%? We own this stock 2 or 3 times over. People, I will always attack those people who are stealing from my fellow shareholders. I don't care how you feel about it. Hey, I want to thank you for watching, and please remember to hit the like button after this slide if you enjoyed the presentation. Subscribe to the channel and set the alert so you're notified when I have new information to share. See you at the bell.